wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the, quote, real Americans, by which he means his supporters, and the outsiders who don't support him. Because having people divided and angry and aggrieved and resentful, he figures that boosts his chances to get elected. Now, so those are his intentions. I do have to point out that along with his intentions, there is also a question of his competence. Have you seen him lately? I mean, he is out there, he's given 2.5 hour speeches, just word salads. You have no idea what he's talking about. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter, he's talking about this, he's talking about that. He held a town hall meeting where he just, let me explain, because I've done a lot of town hall meetings. The point of a town hall meeting is to take questions. He just decided, you know what, I'm going to stop taking questions, and then he's swaying to Ave Maria and YMCA for about half an hour. Folks are standing there not sure what's happening. Can you imagine if I did that? Can you imagine if Reuben did that right in the middle? Now, our playlist would probably be better. He called himself the father of IVF. I do not know what that means. You do not either. He said January 6th was a day of love. Do not boo, vote. It made January 6th sound like it was Woodstock. You would be worried if your grandpa was acting like this. No, I'm not joking. You would, right? You'd call up your cousins and you say, have you noticed? So imagine it coming from a guy who wants to be given unchecked power. Tucson, we do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails. We have had enough of arrogance and bumbling and bluster and division. America's ready to turn the page. We're ready for a better story. We are ready for a president, Kamala Harris. Being here in Tucson, I'm thinking about my friend John McCain. Yeah, now, I don't want to over-romanticize our relationship, and, you know, John was conservative, to put it mildly. Ran against me in 2008. Talked about me on the campaign trail. But you know what? He understood that some values transcend party. He believed in honest argument and hearing the views of other people. He didn't demonize his political opponents. You remember the time at the end of the campaign when a woman at one of his rallies said, "Oh, Obama, you can't vote for that Arab. He's not even a citizen." And she started going on a rant, and he said, ma'am, hold on a second. I have a lot of disagreements with Senator Obama, but I serve with him. He's a good man. He's an honorable man. He's a patriotic American. Shut it down. He knew that if we get in the habit of bending the truth to suit political expediency or party orthodoxy, our democracy can't work. The man had character. People like Gabby Giffords and Mark Kelly have character. Your governor has character. Your mayor has character. That's what I think about these days. I think about this a lot because it's so different from what we see right now out of the Republican nominee. And increasingly, the entire party has just decided it's okay. I mean, one of the most disturbing things about this election and Donald Trump's rise in politics is how we seem to have set aside the values that people like a John McCain stood for. Values we were taught. I do not think we've ever had an election with candidates who understand freedom so differently. For Donald Trump and his cronies, freedom means that the powerful can do whatever they please. That's his definition of freedom. I want to fire workers for trying to organize a union. I should be free to do so. You know, they want the freedom to throw out votes if they lose an election. They want to control what women can and can't do to their bodies. In other words, for Trump, freedom is getting away with stuff. And it's like he said in the middle of the pandemic, when he said, I do not take any responsibility at all. I'm not sure any American president has ever uttered those words other than Donald Trump. I do not take any. People were dying. Hospitals overrun. I do not take any responsibility at all. That's his idea of freedom. I do what I want, and I'm not responsible for anything. We have a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide for our families if we're willing to work. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water. The freedom to send our kids to school without worrying if they'll come home safely. We believe that true freedom gives each of us the right to make decisions about our own lives, how we worship, who we marry, what our family looks like. And we also believe that freedom requires us to recognize that other people have the freedom to make different choices